Fred MacMurray built his money super smart. He owned apartment buildings, a big cattle ranch, and even a knitting mill. He carried hard-boiled eggs in brown paper bags to eat while he made millions. But right when things were going great, a big legal fight with some powerful people flipped everything upside down. The movie studios had watched him bargain tough for years. They hated how strong and in control he was, so they tried a sneaky plan to knock him down. What they didn't expect was how hard Fred would fight back to save himself. That battle kept him away from Hollywood for a long time. The real scoop is all about tricky contracts, people turning on him, and a scheme that totally blew up in everyone's face in the craziest way. Fred MacMurray's story starts really quiet, almost gentle, in a tiny spot hardly anyone remembers. He was born August 30th, 1908 in Canandaigua, Illinois, to a dad who could play the violin like magic, and a mom who always carried her Wisconsin family ways with her. Even though his dad had tons of talent, money never stuck around their home. When Fred was just 2 years old, the family packed up and moved to Beaver Dam, Wisconsin, hoping life would get easier. But things got even tougher there. Fred grew up feeling like he had to carry big responsibilities. To help out, he worked at a local pea canning factory for just a few cents an hour, doing super long shifts that tired outgrown men, never mind a kid. Even back then, something else inside him was waking up. At Beaver Dam High School, he became awesome at football, baseball, and basketball. He was a three-sport star who usually won games for the team and turned into a little town hero that other kids looked up to for his skills and his calm, strong attitude. The school gave him new chances, and his good grades got him a full scholarship to Carroll College in Wow. But sitting in college classes didn't keep him happy for long. Music kept calling him every single day. Pretty soon, he left the books and classes behind to chase something way more exciting and risky. He joined local dance bands playing the saxophone, hoping music would open the door that life had locked for so long. At night, he went to the Chicago Art Institute to study, because he thought real talent needed practice and lessons. By 1928, he made another big move to Los Angeles. There he worked as a Hollywood extra, getting paid $10 a day, which was tiny even in the tough Depression times. He also drove his sick mom all the way to Los Angeles so she could get better doctor care. Even while chasing his big dreams, he always took care of his family. His only link to show business was his aunt, Fa Holderness, who did vaudeville shows, but she couldn't give him an easy way in. Those first years were all about hard work, not good luck, and every day built the toughness he would need later. Music came back stronger in March 1930, when he joined Gus Arnheim's Coconut Grove Orchestra. He was only 22. He played clarinet and tenor sax. That same month, he sang on a record called All I Want Is Just One Girl, released as Victor 2022-384. It was one of the few times he sang on record. Most people paid attention to Bing Crosby, the hot new star in the band, but Fred's voice was in there too, hiding in a track that later became important in jazz stories. They recorded it in Los Angeles. Those orchestra days became his bridge to New York and bright Broadway lights. He never planned to act, but music pulled him right into chances he never expected. Later that year, 1930, another door swung open. Fred got into the Broadway show Three's a Crowd at the Selwyn Theater. The show opened October 15, 1930, and ran 271 times until June 6, 1931. They didn't hire him to act. He was just a musician with the California Collegians. But during rehearsals, producers saw how good he looked and moved on stage. They gave him a tiny acting part. He had never acted before, and the role was so small you could almost miss it. But important people noticed. Casting directors remembered his name, and slowly more offers started coming. That little part became his first real step into a world he never dreamed of joining. Things kept rolling in 1933 when he joined the Broadway show Roberta at the New Amsterdam Theater. It opened November 18, 1933, and ran 295 times until July 21, 1934. He shared the stage with Bob Hope, George Murphy, and Sidney Greenstreet. Bob Hope became a huge star from that show, and Fred's part got noticed right behind him. Paramount Pictures signed both of them, and in 1934 they gave Fred a 7-year contract for $350 a week. He wasn't famous yet, just another guy under contract. But the road had totally changed. Roberta wasn't just any show. It was the exact moment the world started looking straight at him. Everything went super fast in 1935. Fred jumped from up-and-coming to full star in one big leap. That year he was in 7 movies, something super rare back then. His breakout hit was The Gilded Lily in March 1935, starring with Claudette Colbert. Fans loved him, studios loved him, and boom, Paramount had their new leading man. Later that year, he did Alice Adams with Katharine Hepburn in September, and Hands Across the Table with Carole Lombard in December. Every movie brought more fans, more good reviews, and more trust from bosses who saw him as steady, charming, and pure money maker. By the end of 1935, his name glowed on theater marquees everywhere. His climb happened so quick, it shocked even the pros who usually saw actors take years to rise. Fred shot ahead in just 12 months, and Hollywood started seeing him as a sure winner. His success kept growing bigger. By 1943, his yearly pay hit $420,000. In today's dollars, that's about $7 million. That made him the top-paid actor in Hollywood and the 4th highest-paid person in the whole United States. While most Americans earned around $2,000 a year during World War II, Fred made over 200 times more. His movies brought in millions every time. The studios counted on him. The fans adored him. And his Paramount contract kept him right on top. The next year, 1944, he made even more, $439,000. Once again, he was Hollywood's highest-paid actor. Those numbers looked wild during war when families dealt with shortages and ration books. But Fred's movies like Double Indemnity and Above Suspicion kept packing theaters, so studios happily paid because anything with his name made money. Fred wasn't just acting. He was a smart businessman who knew fame can disappear, but good deals can stick. He asked for profit-sharing way before other stars even tried. Instead of just a flat paycheck, he wanted a cut of every movie's earnings. That meant money kept coming in long after movies left theaters. Hits like Double Indemnity in 1944 and The Egg and I in 1947 paid him extra for years. Other actors saw it, studios saw it, and Fred quietly showed everyone how stars could build real long-lasting money in Hollywood. World War II put a different spotlight on him. Fred didn't join the military, and that choice got people talking bad. He worked as an air raid warden in Brentwood and sold war bonds, helping out from home. But while guys like James Stewart and Clark Gable fought overseas, Fred kept making films and big money. People gossiped, and some got mad at his choices. Still, his movies gave people fun escapes when times were scary. He used his fame to push bond sales and help charities. All that chatter showed how much pressure stars felt in wartime and how everyone watched every move they made. Even with the drama, Fred stayed loved because his work cheered people up when they needed it bad. Fred MacMurray met Lillian Lamont in 1934 while they both worked on the Broadway musical Roberta, and something about her caught his eye fast. Their love story started soft but grew quick. Soon Hollywood pushed on them because studios wanted Fred to seem single for the fans. Instead of breaking up, they came up with a clever plan nobody did much back then. They told reporters they were in a test engagement in 1934 to see if they could live happily together before the real wedding. It sounded fun and light, but it really showed how careful they were to guard their relationship. Then June 19, 1936 came, and they sneaked off with Fred's mom, flew to Las Vegas, and got married that night. They kept it such a secret that studio people searched for Fred the next day, having no clue he was already married. They flew back to Hollywood the same day, full of quiet joy that stayed hidden a while before anyone found out. Lillian had ongoing kidney and heart problems, so having babies wasn't possible for her. So in 1940, they adopted their daughter Susan, making it official in 1942. 4 years later, in 1946, they adopted 1.5-year-old Robert, and the home finally felt complete. Even then, Lillian's health kept getting worse. Fred later joked that their son Robert went full hippie through the South Seas to find himself, showing how parenting brought surprises in those days. Still, they stayed strong together, giving everything to their kids while Lillian fought her long, tiring health battle. What nobody knew was that Lillian carried an even heavier secret. In a 2006 interview, her cousin said Lillian had bulimia. Her health fell apart in the early 1950s, and she died in June 1953, just a little after their 17th anniversary. The bulimia news shocked fans and writers because she hid it so well behind her peaceful smile. While Fred kept all that pain private, Hollywood pushed him into a part that almost ended his career. When he played Walter Neff in Double Indemnity in 1944, fans didn't know how to feel about him anymore. He had always been the happy, romantic guy, the safe pick, the one you could count on. Now he was a cold, smart man planning a murder for insurance cash. Big stars like George Raft and Alan Ladd had already said no to the role because they feared it would wreck their nice guy image. Direct. Our Billy Wilder had to beg Fred just to think about it. Fred said he was scared because he thought it would destroy everything he'd worked for. When the movie hit, fans were shocked by the change. Critics felt it too. But something wild happened. His acting became one of the most loved in film noir ever. Years later, he said the role almost ruined my career, but it also proved he could handle deep, serious drama instead of only fun comedies. The weirdest part was why he even got offered the role. Paramount used it like a trick in contract talks. Fred was asking for more money, and the studio thought if he played this dark, dangerous guy and the movie flopped, he'd have to take less pay. They wanted to teach him who's boss. Instead, the trick failed big time. The movie was a smash. Critics loved him. His power to bargain actually got stronger. The part they meant to hurt him with ended up making him even bigger. Shooting Double Indemnity was tough on him. Fred wasn't used to such heavy, dark stuff, and Billy Wilder kept pushing him hard for real emotion and power Fred had never done. He felt nervous and unsure the whole time. Barbara Stanwyck, who played Phyllis Dietrichson, felt the pressure too, but her strength helped steady him. In letters he wrote later, Fred said Barbara's calm focus kept him going. Their on-screen spark showed how much she helped him through that hard filming. He said the whole thing changed him because it pushed him to an acting level he never thought he could reach. But Fred didn't always get along great with directors. His time with Preston Sturges became one of the most talked-about bad partnerships in old Hollywood. Sturges wrote in his book that MacMurray was terrible and very cruel, and he really meant it. The bad feelings exploded while filming Remember the Night in 1940. They argued about everything, how scenes felt, how lines sounded, almost every detail. Fred, who was usually chill, found Sturges mean and impossible. When Sturges said politely it was nice working together, Fred shot back that he wished he could say the same. After that, Fred made sure they never did another movie together. Back then, it was rare for a big star to stand up to a strong director like that, so the fight became famous. Working with Carole Lombard felt totally different and fun. From 1935 to 1937, they did 4 movies together. Lombard was known for being brave, hilarious, and real. Fred said she swore like a sailor, which always surprised him because she was so confident and straight-up honest. She'd joke threatened to pluck his eyebrows to make him relax on set. Her laughs made long shooting days feel easier, and he always talked about her with warm memories. Her death in a 1942 plane crash hit the whole movie world hard, and Fred was one of many who kept her spirit alive by remembering the energy she brought to every scene. His connection with Barbara Stanwyck had its own special fire. Fred admitted he fell in love with her. He said every movie they did together had one thing the same: he fell in love with her. They worked in Remember the Night in 1940, Double Indemnity in 1944, The Moonlighter in 1953, and There's Always Tomorrow in 1956. Their parts showed all kinds of push and pull. In one, he turned her over to the cops. In another, he killed her. In another, he walked away from her. And in the last one, he pushed her over a waterfall. Their real-life feelings made the movie tension feel super real, and he often said acting with her was exciting because she was so powerful and talented. Claudette Colbert was another big name in his story. He did 7 films with her, and their top hit was The Egg and I in 1947. While shooting, the chickens on set laid over 300 eggs. Fred and Claudette signed them and sold them at farmers' markets to raise cash for the Braille Institute of America. It became one of the first big Hollywood star charity projects. The movie was one of 1947's biggest money makers and locked them in as a favorite screen team. They worked together 14 years, and Fred later said they both just knew when to stop without any hard feelings. Fred MacMurray's world changed in a huge, sad way after Lillian Lamont died on June 27, 1953. They had been married 17 years, and she passed just 2 days after their anniversary. Close friends said it was a heart attack, but others quietly said kidney failure was really to blame. Those quiet rumors spread through Hollywood and started lots of talk. Fred was crushed, and for a while he just drifted through his days feeling lost. But before 1953 even ended, he showed up at a gay 90s party John Wayne threw on New Year's Eve, and he brought June Haver. Their quick closeness surprised everyone who thought he'd grieve longer, and that shock started even more gossip. June had her own heavy story. She spent 8 months in a convent after her fiancé, Dr. John Duzick, died during simple surgery in 1949. The pain made her look for something solid. She tried religious life, but Later left the convent and came back to Hollywood. Just coming back raised eyebrows, and when she started dating Fred so soon after his wife died, people couldn't stop talking. Their love grew fast, and they sneaked off to marry June 28, 1954 at the Ojai Valley Inn. They kept it hidden. They even used friend Ray Cardillo's travel agency to cover their tracks, letting everyone think the wedding was over a month later. All the hiding made it feel extra mysterious. The drama kept going. June was a strong Catholic, but the church wouldn't do a Catholic wedding because she had married musician Jimmy Zito in 1947 and divorced quick. To marry Fred, she had to give up her faith. People argued about that choice for years. Some said she gave up her beliefs for love, others thought she just wanted a fresh start. No matter what, the wedding mixed happiness, secrets, and scandal Hollywood loved to chat about. When Fred jumped to TV with My Three Sons in 1960, he brought that same smart toughness to his deal. Before signing, he talked to Robert Young from Father Knows Best, who warned about the crazy long hours. Fred paid close attention and decided no way, he wasn't doing that. He used his big name to make one of the strangest TV contracts ever. He'd film all his scenes in just about 65 days that weren't back-to-back each year. That meant only around 2 months of work for him, while everyone else shot almost the whole year. Producers had to rebuild the whole show around his schedule. It turned everything into a big puzzle with Fred in the middle. The cast often acted to empty chairs or stand-ins because Fred's parts got filmed first in 2 huge chunks. Writers made scripts so his lines could shoot months ahead. Some parts were just him talking alone so editors could plug them in later. Guest stars sometimes came back 9 months later to finish scenes. Kid actors got haircuts every week to look the same. Fred wore a toupee so his look stayed perfect no matter the time gap. The whole setup tired out the crew big time, but he never changed his rules. His schedule stayed locked and everyone else adjusted. The plan had dangers too. One surprise change could wreck a whole episode. When Dawn Lynn joined as Dodie in the 1969-1970 season, her front teeth grew in crooked during the filming break. Matching her parts with Fred's got super hard. Still, Fred wouldn't budge. It caused fights, but it changed how big stars made deals from then on. He quietly became a trailblazer. Behind the cameras, Fred built a whole other kind of success. In 1941, he bought a 1,150-acre ranch in Sonoma County's Russian River Valley with cash from acting. The land went back to the 1840s and was full of good soil. He raised 400 Aberdeen Angus cattle and even brought in a special bull named Pyros of Islip from Scotland in the 1950s. During World War II, the ranch sent extra fruits and veggies to the U.S. Army. Fred fixed up old houses, built barns, and made the ranch a real happy family spot. Years later, in 1996, the land sold and became a Pinot Noir vineyard, starting a new life and proving Fred was a sharp businessman way before anyone caught on. He did the same with city property. In 1944, he bought the Bryson Apartment Hotel in Los Angeles for $600,000 using money from double indemnity. The building opened in 1912, costing $750,000, and had a fancy past. Fred kept it around 30 years. By the late 1940s, he even got a tax break because he said running costs were too high. Besides the Bryson, he owned 3 more apartment buildings, a knitting mill, and a cold storage company. He liked spreading his cash in different businesses, and that smart move kept him safe with money for decades. Even though he made over $420,000 a year at his richest, he got famous for being super cheap. On movie sets, he'd show up with hard-boiled eggs in a brown paper bag. People teased him about it so much the story stuck forever. There were stories about his tips, too. Some said he left zero, which made dinner friends feel awkward. Well, he didn't say sorry. Well, he saved. He put money back to work. He skipped Hollywood's big spending style. Those ways let him keep his money longer than most stars from his time. Still, a 1977 story showed his real net worth was only 3 to 4 million. Rumors said 75 to 100 million, and the truth shocked almost everybody. Hollywood pictured him as super rich. But his real fortune was smaller than the big stories people told. His plain living created a legend that didn't match the facts. Sometimes what people thought hit him hard. In 1961, at Disneyland, a woman spotted him from My Three Sons and hit him with her purse. She was mad he did grown-up roles instead of family ones. Fred went home upset and told his wife no more of those parts. From then on, he picked clean, nice roles that matched what fans wanted. It changed his career path and showed how much what people expected really mattered to him. As time went on, his health started breaking down. He got throat cancer in he late 1970s and beat it, but it came back in 1987. More troubles followed: emphysema, chronic lymphocytic leukemia, and a big stroke in December 1988 that paralyzed his right side and messed up his talking bad. Most people would have given up, but Fred worked hard in therapy until he got back almost 90% of his movement and voice. Friends loved that toughness. They watched a guy who wouldn't let sickness write his ending. But time kept moving. He finally died of pneumonia on November 5, 1991, in Santa Monica at 83. Near the end, he did The Swarm in 1978, a wild movie full of mess. Irwin Allen directed it, trying to cash in on the killer bee scare of the 70s. It had a giant cast like Michael Caine, Katharine Ross, and Henry Fonda, but nothing saved it. They used maybe 15 to 22 million bees. Around 100 people just handled the bees. Olivia de Havilland even got stung on set. The story was weak, and the movie got called one of the worst ever. Fred only worked 2 days, but it stuck to his name as funny trivia. In 1987, he got a special award. Disney called him their first Disney legend. The event had a handprint ceremony, and even with his health slipping, he went with quiet pride. Young kids mostly knew him as the kind dad from My Three Sons, while older fans remembered Double Indemnity and his great old movies. The honor connected both parts of his story. It told Hollywood he shaped fun for more than one group of people. And even though he stayed out of the lights his last years, that award made sure his name stayed remembered.